Hey, it's me, Hrishikesh Kannan, popularly known as Hrishi K. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon now to get the latest videos and get taken into a world of entertainment, culture, sport, business, and current affairs.
We've always been very proud supporters of the LGBTQA community for years, and it's both in our workplace and in our programming. So, right from Orange is the New Black to, like you said, Ajib Dastan's Gili Pucci. I think one of the landmark pieces that across the world was Nanette. And her, Hannah Gadsby's sort of stand-up special where she talked about coming out. That really requires a certain courage, and I think that connects with audiences across the world. I mean, you don't really need to know her stature as a performer, as a comic, to actually understand her story. It's just the power of the piece that really speaks to you. I think we go about it with a great amount of sensitivity, both, and I'm happy to say this, both at the workplace as well as in our content. And there's room for all kinds of stories as long as they're told in a manner that connects to our members and brings joy to them, and really helps us tell newer, fresher perspectives on some topics.
Series head Netflix India Tanya Bami joins me in the lead up to Women's Day. Hey, happy International Women's Day in advance.
Thanks, Rishi. I'll wish you the same as well.
Yes,
Just
please.
for you and for all your listeners.
And to the bevy of beautiful women who I'm surrounded by: two daughters, wife, mother-in-law, everybody.
Yes. Yes.
I already like how this chat has started. Listen, I ran through 4 episodes of the Fame Game, and I'm absolutely stunned. One would have thought it's going to be a Madhuri Dixit relaunch vehicle or launch vehicle for her on OTT, but it's so much more than that. The representation of women in particular, on all their various hues, shades, and that must have really spoken to you when Sri Rao, approached you guys with this story and the concept.
Yes, Fame Game is a super special project for us. We've been working on it for so long, and we are delighted that it's released, and it started, to a great set of reviews, yours included, and I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I think there are just so many wonderful things about the project, our partnership with Dharma. And how they've sort of really brought to life this beautiful, piece of work, which Bijoy and Karishma have directed. The intensity and the focus with it, Sri has sort of put together. The script is delightful. And then, of course, I think Madhuri is a delight to watch. I think every single review sort of raves about her performance, the intensity with which she sort of has perform this multifaceted role, and it's so telling of the times we live in, and it's so appropriate for the conversation we are having. She's a superstar. She's a mom. She's a wife. She has a personal life that she's afraid to explore, but is probably keen to. And that's a conundrum that I think is a conundrum of our times. What do you do when your marriage is probably not at its best, and there's something pulling at your heartstrings, and your kids are holding you back, and your career expects something of you? It's a beautiful balance that she's sort of fulfilled, and it's a mystery that keeps you rolling from one episode to another. So please do watch the rest of the 4.
Absolutely, and I urge everybody who's listening, watching, to do that. You will not be disappointed. The Fame Game currently streams on Netflix. I'm wondering whether there is a conscious decision to have narratives, stories which are helmed by women on as well as off screen, or did it start by chance and then you picked up on it? Because I know a lot of other platforms do it that way. What is the agenda as far as Netflix is concerned?
I think if you look at it, holistically, it is quite clear that Netflix has always led the charge on the female forward narrative. Be it the Crown, be it the Queen's Gambit, be it Closer Home, be it Bombay Begums, be it Pagglait. Ajeeb Dastans, Masaba Masaba, Aranyak, subverting the gender dynamic in Ye Kali Kali Aankhein, or the Fame game, like we were discussing just now. Uh, is it a conscious decision? Yes, I think it is a conscious decision because we are about really compelling stories. We want to tell stories that, that are telling of our times, that make our audience curious about the world around them. And also, this medium liberates you. There isn't a pressure of the box office or ratings in that sense, for you to work backwards from. Here, I think the story is what sort of attracts a very like-minded audience, and there are a lot of untold stories, therefore, and a lot of them are stories of very interesting female characters. And in the titles that I sort of discussed and shared with you, not all of them are actually heroines like we're used to sort of knowing them. Pooja Bhatt in Bombay Begums is as torn as Anamika Madhuri Dixit in Fame Game, who's as conscious as Ravina Tandon or Kasturi Dogra in Aranyak. So this is the reality and the authenticity of our times, and it is a reflection of our times and our lives, and it's important to talk about that. These make for great stories. Our members love them, and there are just so many beautiful, creative voices that we can't be telling stories and not work with creators like, say, Alankrita or Karishma Kohli, and so many, Konkana, and so many more, that these are voices who have a certain expression and a certain point of view, and we believe if we can be the conduit to that expression, then we've probably done our job right.
Oof. I love that you call us members. It really, I mean, one feels more elevated. The common parlance is subscribers.
No.
And really, it feels wonderful for you to give every single quote unquote subscriber the kind of respect that he or she deserves. A member. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, that's how we refer to everyone who's a part of the Netflix family across the world, and I think it's important to have that close relationship,
Yeah.
and continue to bring the joy that we do.
I agree. I completely agree. I have filmmaker friends who turn around and say, "I'm going to make this. It's not my job. Let the censor board do this." But I'm a firm believer that any creative work of art, sometimes you need to put some self checks and balances in place. I'm very keen to know, especially in the women's piece, since we're talking International Women's Day and Week, when you have a representation of women on a Netflix series, what are the checks and balances that you yourself put in place while releasing that content?
I would say responsibility. Like you rightly put it, I would say responsibility and novelty. Actually, I think if we beat a broken drum, I don't think there is. Those stories have been heard. There's an expression and a freedom that comes with this medium, which I think all creators are enjoying, and I think all our viewers are enjoying, because these are new stories. And sorry to sound repetitive, but these are stories of our times which just feel more relevant, as opposed to stories of oppression. And even if there is oppression, I mean, I always feel if where there is oppression, there has got to be a reaction. How can we only tell the story of an oppression, it's sounding very severe, but in jest, where there is oppression, there will be a reaction. How can we not tell the story of a reaction? And then if you put the two together, doesn't it just make for such a more potent story that people will be curious to sort of explore both sides of? Because we all know everyone's a little gray, in different shades. And that's really the joy of storytelling. So responsibility of reflecting, I think, our times, what women are, sort of the leaps that women are making, whether it's to do with their own sexual preferences, whether it's to do with their own career choices, whether it is to actually demonstrate that yes, the cliche is true, we can balance it all. And you can be a cop like Kasturi, or a MD of a big swinging bank like Pooja Bhatt is, And you can also be a homemaker and also be super dynamic, the way Shefali is in Ajib Dastans. And you can be very sensitive. Again, sorry to refer to Shefali again. The way she is handling like one of the most sensitive cases to deal with another woman in Delhi crime, at the same time having a huge emotional dilemma with her own child, and actually talking her through some very fundamental, viewpoints within the country. So I think the fun is the amount of things a female character can balance, and the depth of the story that comes with female characters gives you just so much play in series and in content for the streaming services.
I want to talk about diversity and inclusion here again, with respect to women. I find LGBTQIA representation in your content to be very fascinating. And what I like even more is that it is not dependent on the economically stronger sections of society. I mean, sometimes what irks me is there's a lot of talk of homosexuality or being gay or lesbianism only in the economically stronger sections of society. But if you see Ajib Dastans and Gili Pucci, I mean, Coco's character is a factory worker. I mean, irrespective of what economic strata you belong to, you were born a certain way and you're born a certain way. So another example, which is, in the same space, is She Loves Me, She Loves Me Not, which is again very beautifully done. So when opportunities come for LGBTQIA representation, how do you go about that? How do you get involved in the creative process and then the release?
It would be unfair to be homogeneous in our approach to storytelling. I think we have to be diverse, and it isn't that these are the times of inclusion. These are the times where we as storytellers and as platforms and have that responsibility to reflect various stories. It's important for members to feel that connection, see a reflection of themselves, and sort of it gives you more power to your own story, to see your lives and times sort of be reflected on screen through our stories. We've always been very proud supporters of the LGBTQA community for years, and it's both in our workplace and in our programming. So right from Orange is the New Black to, like you said, Ajib Dastans, Gili Pucci. I think one of the landmark pieces that across the world was Nanette and her, Hannah Gadsby's sort of stand-up special where she talked about coming out. That really requires a certain courage, and I think that connects with audiences across the world. I mean, you don't really need to know her stature as a performer, as a comic, to actually understand her story. It's just the power of the piece that really speaks to you. I think we go about it with a great amount of sensitivity, both, and I'm happy to say this, both at the workplace as well as in our content. And there's room for all kinds of stories, as long as they're told in a manner that connects to our members and brings joy to them, and really helps us tell newer, fresher perspectives on some topics.
Tanya, we spoke about strong women character representation on screen. I want to just expand the ambit and talk about projects helmed by women. I mean, and I'd like us to recognize an Alankrita Srivastava, Leena Yadav, Sophia Paul, who's come on as producer. So, if you could speak a little bit about these strong ladies helming these projects.
So, Hrishi, I'll just give you some numbers that I think will do the talking for everyone. Since the year 2020, we've worked with 2,400 women, both off and on screen.
Wow.
And, the off-screen people, they're just professionals, and we're not working with them because they're women. Women are bringing so much to every aspect of filmmaking, whether it's being the creators or the voices themselves, the writers, DOPs, stylists, so much more, ADs, so much more, that we've had this very, very rich measure that we've put together. And actually, when we did the math, we were quite staggered ourselves. In our workplace as well, Rishi, across the world, we have a very healthy gender balance where we have about 51.7% of our workforce is a female workforce, and 51.1% of our leaders are female leaders. So, inclusion and diversity and really being inclusive in every form is something that we at Netflix strongly believe and champion.
Yeah, just to throw out some trivia for all of you who are listening, watching. Bombay Begums was written and directed by Alankrita Srivastav. Tribhanga was directed by Renuka Shahane. Leena Yadav, of course, famous director of Parched, who has directed the widely loved documentary, which is based on the famous Burari mass suicide case, House of Secrets. Yes. So, and Sophia Paul has produced this fabulous superhero film called Minnal Murali, which I just thought was spectacular. So much fun. It's a family experience. The kids loved it. We loved it. It's just so much fun. So these are the kind of women and so many other unsung heroes.
There are so many more. There's a debut director, Kashvi Nair, for Sardar and Grandson.
Oh, yes, of course.
There's Nandini Gupta for Mismatched. Renuka, you mentioned. There's Guneet Monga, who did the wonderful Pagglait. I think, both the actor and the producer are equally fabulous. There is Sejal Shah, who's produced Decoupled. There's Amita Madhwani, who's a producer for Dhamaka. We have Ghazal Daliwal. We have Alankrita, who you mentioned. Kanika Dillon for Haseen Dilruba, she wrote it. There's Sonam Nair, and actually just a little piece of trivia. For season 1 of Masaba, we had an all-women crew, barring just one.
Oh, spectacular.
Yes. So we've had 15 female forward titles that have been announced for 22. 2 have been released, Ye Kali Kali Aankhein and Loop Lapeta. And there are many more coming, including the Fame Game, which is up and running right now.
Lovely. So let's just now quickly run through some titles and their importance as far as women empowerment is concerned. We talked about Bombay Begums, yes. So we'll proceed. Little things, Mithila Palkar and the representation of the Gen Z woman. I'd like you to comment on that.
Well, she went from a person who wasn't really looking for love to actually sort of contemplating marriage. Again, I can't say that there aren't too many women who won't sort of relate to that. We've all been there. We've all sort of wondered if he's the right one. We've all wondered, should we put career before him or him before career? We've all wondered about, will he, won't he? And if marriage is for us at all. So Mithila's journey is completely representative of any young girl who's, a first jobber stepping out into the world, and you're really determined to really make your career like anybody else would. And then life happens. And I love the way it sort of balances, the story balances the two genders without spelling it out. And that's really what is special for me. She's perhaps, a way to look at her would be that she's perhaps the alpha, and he many times is actually second guessing himself. And I love the subtlety of that. It's always been like a really special series for us.
Lovely.
Across the seasons, yes.
So beautifully described. Pagglait, wow. Sanya Malhotra, this is a never seen before widow. I leave you to fill in the blanks.
Pagglait is a story that makes you go, okay, all right, somebody said it. And thank God for that. I think no one is expecting what really unravels in the film. And we've seen that in the way the audience and, the view, actually not just the audience, the reviews, the members, the love that they've all sort of given the title. And I think it's important to have actually portrayed a character of a widow with someone who actually knows her mind, because it's not somebody, you're not really, while you love to have a partner, and he will add a lot, he or she can add a lot to your life. I don't think we anymore are by virtue of just our partners, and for the family and for the community to realize that there's a voice and in behind this individual who can actually pick up the pieces and walk, and it will not be that unusual, was a very, very important message to deliver.
True. And the travails of a long distance relationship seen through the eyes of a woman,
Yes.
in a cross cultural marriage, Meenakshi Sundareshwar.
Yes, that's a title that was sweet and adorable, and uh, it sort of takes you right back to college, right? I remember the days of when hostels had that one phone booth, and you'd have to wait in queue for that one phone call for 5 minutes. It felt like the modern day representation of that, but and it was simple and pure in its own way. It was lovely.
Great. And of course, you did briefly talk about Kasturi in Aranyak, but I just thought that here's a woman who just wants to be, Superwoman, Wonder Woman, and she feels a certain guilt saying, "I need to be a good homemaker too, despite being this top cop." And there's sarcasm from the husband. Just a comment on Ravina's character there.
I think it is a beautiful and complex character. And actually, Charu Dutt Acharya, our writer, he's based it on a woman he actually met on one of his holidays. And that's where the story
Wow.
began. And then him and Rohan Sippy put it together. It's not just a character who's actually wanting to, she's not just a character who's wanting to, balance it all. I think that's a little, that's the first layer. What she really wants is to succeed. She wants to succeed on all fronts. She wants to succeed at home. She wants her daughter to succeed because that reflects on her success. She wants to succeed at her workplace, and she's actually craved for that one case to come in that is going to sort of propel her beyond the glass ceiling that she's feeling. And locked away in a tiny little town somewhere in the mountains, there is this woman who's feeling everything that any city girl or anybody working for a big dynamic company, multinational, could be feeling exactly the same things. And that's the power of that character, the situation that she's in, and how beautifully Ravina has sort of pulled it off.
And then Taapsee, accused of the murder of her own husband, Haseen Dilruba.
Yeah, I think quirk and wit and grounded thinking, and really thinking on her feet, and showing that women can get away with a
Yeah.
lot. You need a performer like Taapsee to fulfill a crazy character like that, and she did it with so much conviction, had everybody, I think, guessing till the end. It's seeming like, but not sure if it is. So it was a fun ride.
And Tribhanga, my, oh my, what
Oh my.
powerful performances. The generation gap displayed so beautifully but subtly. I'd like a comment on that.
Tribhanga, I think, was this beautiful piece of female friendship, in a way, and overcoming your gaps, even though you're from the same family, and your relationships, overcoming the odds, and actually just getting it out of the way, only in the way women can. Beautiful relation, and like you said, actually, the performances keep you riveted.
Now we've given you sneak peeks of all these, amazing series and movies. It's about time, if you haven't seen it, to go and catch up on Netflix. I have an interesting stat here. 50% of Netflix films and series had women in the central character. How cool is that? That means half or over half of what you guys are making is central, has a central actress, a strong woman part. Again, consciously done?
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, we wouldn't go out and hire someone in our crew just because they're a woman. But we wouldn't, the reverse would not be true either, right? It is really about strong creators, strong voices with great ideas, coming to us to tell stories that they'd like to tell with a clarity that almost sort of brings it alive in a narration, that adds a whole dimension and a diversity to the vast slate that we've put together for this year, for 2022 and beyond. I think it's really about having these unlocking these beautiful stories from India, whether they are whether they're about backdrops or whether they're about different characters, female characters, and their lives and situations and their conflicts and challenges. I think we're about telling these stories, and I think there's a little the writings on the wall. If 50% of those stories have a female forward narrative, I think it's a great year to exist in.
Yeah, segues beautifully to my next question. What can we expect in 2022? Series, movies that have exciting women in them and that will take forward this narrative.
Hrishi, we are very excited about 2022, and we started with a bang with Ye Kali Kali Aankhein. That in itself, as far as the female forward narrative, subverts the way you subverts the power equation in a relationship, where it's usually a male character, what we've seen popularly, a male character chasing a female character. Here there was a woman's desire, and the soup that it lands a man in. It's been delightful. People have loved it. It's something that we really wanted to start the year with on a high. We have the Fame game, and can't stop talking about how excited we are. It's a headlining title for us. We're very excited about a really special title called Mai, that's coming out soon. Mai is a story of a powerful, powerful mother. And for now, I'll say just that much because we should be putting out the trailer really soon. It's a story that we've never seen before. It's the power of a woman and, really her tapping into her inner strength because of a certain situation, and the wrath that she unleashes is something that nobody can be prepared for. It's a very intense story. It's a very strong story, and we're extremely proud of it. We have such lovely stories coming. We have She 2 coming, She Season 2, Imtiaz's series, that's coming. We have Masaba Season 2, which gets crazier and funnier. We have Delhi Crime Season 2. And there are so many more, Hrishi. It's a very exciting year for us.
Finally, take off your series head of Netflix India hat, Tanya Bami, and answer this as a woman. What is it that men need to learn about women? About women? What is it that all of us men need to learn about you women?
What you see is not what you get.
I take it is coming from loads of experience.
But there's so much more to explore. It's not the whining and the dining and, have a conversation. It's not untrue that, the conversation is the first step.
Well said. Listen, thoroughly enjoyed this. Happy International Women's Day to you all over again. And see you soon. Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks, Hrishi. Lovely to chat. Bye.